Welcome to the Movie Epidemic Podcast. I'm your host, Buck Hollywood LeDuc, joined by, as always, Chadley J. Fox.
And
Welcome to the show.
Whoop, there he is. I'm Chadley J. Fox.
Wow.
Today we got a jam-packed show for you. Actually, we got bonus movie, too.
Oh, shit. We're pulling in these bonuses? You guys are getting a couple weeks of bonuses.
Yeah, I got really bored last night. My girlfriend's out of town, so I've just been doing nothing but binge watching.
Good for you,
And
Chadley.
yeah, good for me doing my actual work. So we're going to tack on... out of boredom, I watched Bandersnatch last night, and
Out of boredom for sure.
yeah, it's there's some interesting stuff there. Hey, Podcast Bot 5000. Where the fuck did he just come from?
I've installed a trapdoor.
Holy shit, because yeah, you definitely weren't there like 3 seconds ago, and then I turned to look at the hallway where you usually enter from, turned back, there you were.
I own this building now. I installed trapdoors everywhere. You'll never know when you might see me.
Okay, well, are you doing anything to like sabotage the building or anything?
Hey, everybody, it's me, Podcast Bot. Chadley's trying to talk over me again. Here, I've got a little secret about
Podcast
Chadley.
Bot.
I was talking to Chadley the other day, and he says that he believes women should be paid 75 cents on the dollar to every man, because Chadley is a men's right activist.
Yeah, that's actually not correct. That's actually slander, but we'll get into that a little bit more.
It's true. I'm Podcast Bot. I'm always right.
I don't like that you're doing this to me, Podcast Bot. How dare you? How dare you? Actually, Podcast Bot.
Today on the show, you're watching Frankenstein. You're watching. Oh boy.
Do you remember what we watched? This
Oh
week?
boy, I just remembered that it was Doc Martin's March. Doc Martin's March.
Dude, are you malfunctioning?
No. This is me at full capacity for sure. Anyway, you're watching the Robin Williams documentary. You're also watching Shirkers, which Chadley famously said was bad, but he only watched 2 minutes of. And the last one is the one you went to the theater for, and that's going to be the big one in the Star Wars spot, Captain Marvel.
Oh, it's going to be a jam-packed show.
And Bandersnatch.
And Bandersnatch, of course.
All right, thanks, Podcast
Black
Bot.
Mirror is
Thank you for
Bandersnatch.
exposing Chadley, Podcast Bot.
You know what? I am actually going to sue my own podcast because of the slander.
You're going to sue your own Podcast Bot?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, I'm going to sue the podcast. I'm suing Movie Epidemic for
Okay.
slandering my good name.
Yeah.
But because it's a fake name, can I still do it? I don't know.
A fake handle?
Yeah, because he used my fake handle.
Possible deniability.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Podcast Bot 5000, you're not done. Hey, get the fuck back here. Can you play the theme song, please? Jesus. It's literally,
Hold on, where's that aux cord?
Jesus.
Gotta
dude,
plug it into my USB dick. My USB.
your robot dick from
Dick.
Bicentennial Man?
Yeah. Robin Williams robot dick.
Oh, play the theme song, you piece of shit.
I don't know. It's not opening, so who gives a shit, I guess. There it is.
You have 2 jobs.
I know, but it's hard for me to be it's hard for me to be a robot a robot boy, a cute little robot boy, and also do the things that I need to do. You know, I'm a cute little robot boy.
Why don't you play us something, baby?
Start. I don't feel so good.
You can practically see it from here. What?
Robot dicks.
Hell yeah.
Hey, guys, welcome to the Movie Epidemic Podcast. We're going to talk about all that stuff. Podcast Bot 5000.
One time I was sucking on a vape cell, and somebody was like, "Why are you sucking on that USB drive?" I'm like, information.
You're like, oh, apparently this dude doesn't know it's 2019 and you can just suck weed out of a USB drive now.
Robot's penis.
Yeah, robot penis. Wow, you cut me off when I was actually talking about the podcast. That's interesting. So we're gonna be talking about all that stuff. Make sure you stick around all the way to the end because we are gonna be talking about Robin Williams, everybody's favorite. But first, you guys have been begging for it.
Begging on your knees.
You guys
down on your knees.
You guys been sending us a lot of messages saying like, please make sure that you review Captain Marvel in a timely fashion. And so
Please, I beg.
So here we are.
Here we are a week late.
A week late talking about Captain Marvel. Okay, so let's talk about this movie. So here's the dealio: is that Marvel Cinematic Universe, even when the movies are good, I don't really care anymore. Like it's hard to pull me into this series now because like even Black Panther, like it's good, but I don't care that it's good. You know what I mean? Like Thor Ragnarok is good, and I do care that one's good. But like,
But that one's not like the other ones.
Yeah, even like Ant-Man and Wasp, it's good, but I don't care.
It's not that good.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't care. Even Spider-Man: Homecoming, it's good, but I don't care. And Infinity War, I super do not give a fuck about that. I actually almost rewatched it this week, and then I was like, nah, cannot do that
I
to
can
myself.
possibly subject myself to that again.
Yeah, because I was like, because the new Avengers Endgame trailer came out. But before we move forward, since we're talking about the MCU, twist of events, dude.
What's that?
Twisty turn of events. Disney has rehired James Gunn to direct
Right.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume
Justice
3.
for Jimmy. I
Yeah.
think we perpetuated that hashtag, and
Yeah.
and we have now rehired James Gunn.
Yeah, so God bless Disney. But here's the thing.
Somebody pissed in Bob Iger's mouth, apparently.
The problem with this is that he's still attached to Suicide Squad 2. Now, the big question for James Gunn is, now, obviously, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is going to make more money.
Yeah.
It's going to be more profitable. Does he walk away from Suicide Squad 2?
I think you can do both.
You think he can do both?
I mean, you should see Suicide Squad 2 right now. And then by the time Guardians 3 is ready.
Suicide Squad 2 is not ready yet, though, is it?
It's ready.
Is it ready?
It's casted and everything. I don't know if it's fully written. But
Idris
that doesn't
Elba,
matter.
Idris Elba as Will Smith as Deadshot.
Yeah, as Deadshot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just weird to me because now this is the first time this has ever
say
happened.
you start shooting it by like the end of summer or midsummer. You're gonna have a full cast by then. You're gonna have a script done by then. Start shooting.
And then all the while, between takes, he's writing down Guardians of the Galaxy notes.
He's already written the script for Guardians of the Galaxy. It's ready to go.
I thought Disney tossed it, though.
How could they toss it if it was James Gunn? He still has it.
Yeah. Interesting thing, though, is that we've never had a director who's been simultaneously attached to an MCU and a DCEU project. And obviously, there's money in both.
But it's always been out of principle. It's never, like, no one's ever been fired from Disney before, really.
And I think
Besides
Disney,
Lord and Miller.
I think Disney would except Lord and Miller. I think Disney would prefer that this didn't happen. But at this point, it's their fault.
You know what
right?
they should have also done?
What's that?
They should have also reinstated Lord and Miller, and maybe Solo wouldn't have been big piece of shit.
Yeah, I feel like Lord Miller had something good cooking up there.
It must have been too silly.
Yeah, absolutely. So
that's the only way I can think that it would have worked. Like there's probably a lot more Jon Favreau work.
Yeah, I bet you when Disney hired them, I bet you it didn't phase them. They're like, fine, fuck you. We'll just go make another $1 million on Lego. We don't give a shit. Oh yeah, Lord and Miller, they're too good. You know, they are too good.
I don't know about that. I haven't really seen the evidence to be.
Well,
honest.
I mean, like of the Lord and Miller movies, that the big ones are like the Lego movies and the 21 Jump movies. I think that 3 out of 4 of those movies are great.
Sure.
And the other one is pretty good.
But in a specific humor kind of satirist style,
yeah,
I don't know how good they would have done
in Star Wars.
And I assuming they didn't do very well because they got fucking fired.
Yeah, which Disney doesn't.
And it wasn't
really
it wasn't because of a scandal. They just straight up got fired.
Yeah, the only time Disney ever fires you if you tweet that you like little boys peeing on you, and don't worry, they'll reinstate you if you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, did they fire him out of principle, and then we're like, okay, he's had his time out? Like, is that the idea? Well, like when they rehired him, do you think they're like, all right, look, James, we're gonna rehire you, but God, be careful.
Maybe, but I don't. I think clearly someone higher up was like, all right, like, because clearly someone higher up was the one who fired them. Because Feige, I remember saying like, no, we don't want to fire him, but Bob Iger told us to fire him. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing Feige has enough pull after making so much money and getting their first Oscar. He's like, come on,
And
I have Jimmy back.
I think Feige even fought for it a little bit. I remember hearing about like a meeting that they had where Kevin Feige was like, "Come on, you guys! Like, are you fucking serious?"
So it wouldn't surprise me at all if Feige has some more pull now that he's won an Oscar and is being so successful with everything.
Yeah, that actually does. That makes
he's
sense.
Like,
yeah,
that he's like Iger, come on.
He's like, look, boy, who's really making you your money? Is it Solo? I don't think so.
Solo, you making you money?
Yeah.
He's in the meeting with all the showrunners and executive producers, and Kathleen Kennedy's like, she's got a hand over her eyes.
Yeah. Kathleen Kennedy's embarrassed. He's like, look, guys, look. Yes, Star Wars makes a lot of money, but in the top 20 highest grossing films of all time, there's one Kathleen Kennedy movie, Force Awakens, and 15 of my movies.
Top 10.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Oh man, yeah. No, fucking the Avengers is making mad money. And speaking of mad money, Captain Marvel.
What is this even up to? I haven't checked in a few
Yeah,
days.
I haven't checked in a few days, but by Monday after opening weekend, it was at $455 million, which is just a preposterous amount of money.
It's pretty crazy,
Yeah.
especially for like a mid-tier.
Yeah, like a solo film.
And not even in the summer yet.
Yeah, and it's not even like Captain Marvel.
It's almost
not
at 600 million. It's at 594.
Yeah, and I bet you it'll hit 1 million by the end of the weekend. Like,
I would think so.
yeah, it's gonna do, dude. It's doing gangbusters.
It's domestic started off slow, but now they're almost equal to the foreign.
Well, they're picking up, and do you know what?
That's exactly what happened to Black Panther too.
Yeah, that's
'Cause
right.
It started like its opening weekend was like 89 million domestic, and then it just kept rolling, and then it made like I think it made 480 domestic, which is insane.
And you know why I think Captain Marvel is gonna start doing really good?
Why? Because our review's gonna drop.
Yeah, because our review is about to drop, and big fat podcasters like us are gonna come onto their podcast and say Captain Marvel's great.
Yeah, Captain Marvel's good.
Yeah, this is
this is one of those moments that I find very funny. Because every time we release a superhero episode, they're like, you have to like these movies. And then as soon as we drop this one, everyone I've talked to is like, no, you can't like that one.
Yeah.
Why not, bitch?
Why not? Because it's movie. Yeah, I actually got some backlash from my review as well. Which, to be honest, like of all the reviews that I've written, that's the one I expected the least amount of backlash from. But I got so many people I had people tell me I should take down my review because it's too positive, and that like I shouldn't like this movie if I didn't like Infinity War. Hey, why not? This is movie. Infinity War is trailer.
People are making you take down. Oh, dude, I don't agree with any censorship. That's why this show airs live to tape.
Yeah, and it's raw.
It's raw.
Yeah, this show is raw. So let's actually talk about Captain Marvel as a movie. So as I was saying earlier, it's hard to get me to give a shit about these movies. I give a shit about this one.
Yeah, I like this one a lot, and I don't think it's perfect, but I think it does manage to step away from some of the tropes that we've seen in these films so many times, and it manages to sidestep it by being not so fucking serious.
Yeah.
And I think that helps it a lot. Like all the ones that I like, besides the first Avengers, are the silly ones. Like they don't take themselves fucking serious.
Thor Ragnarok, the first Guardians, like, hey, Russo brothers, there's other colors that aren't gray.
To be fair, though, I like Winter Soldier quite a bit, and that one's like a straight up
Winter
serious spy movie.
Yeah, Winter Soldier I do like also. But like if you think about Phase 3, like my favorite movies in Phase 3 are all really silly, like Guardians Volume 2, Thor Ragnarok, Captain Marvel. I'm gonna go on record and say those 3 movies I like all of them better than Black Panther. And not to say I don't like Black Panther.
I like Black Panther, but that third act just annoys me way too much.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Because and that's one thing that really makes me mad is why in like 2018, 2019 are we still doing origin stories where they're fighting themselves, and this is not that.
Yeah, exactly. And that is but like I mean in some parts it is that, but it's also much more of its own thing because this movie is more of like
it's not like Thor 1 where he's fighting an unmarked silver robot.
Yeah, that's very, very true. This one is good because this movie actually is not only silly, but it actually is like kind of about civil liberty, and like which they've tried to do so many times in the MCU, but they fucked it up because like they have like the MCU, specifically like the Thor movies. Like if you think like Malekith, right? That dude just shows up to be a bad guy. To be a bad guy.
Oh, I'm a bad guy.
Yeah, he is just
Hello
a bad
there.
guy.
I'm a bad guy.
He's a bad guy, you know, and not to say that Malekith isn't one of my favorite MCU villains. He absolutely is.
Sure.
But he just is there to be a bad guy. Whereas Talos in this movie is a much more well-rounded character, and to the point that he becomes the audience favorite.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which is like when you think of these movies and like you think of like how silly they are at their very core, you have Ben Mendelsohn wrapped up in a lizard costume, he just chewing up the scenery, overacting everything that he's in for no reason, really, because no one else is overacting.
You know what I love about Ben Mendelsohn in this movie? He's an alien from another planet, just doing an Australian accent.
But it's nice to actually let Mendelsohn
let loose, yeah.
Go wild, like.
And we haven't seen Disney let Ben Mendelsohn do
No,
that, or even that Ready Player One. Like he wasn't given a lot of freedom in that movie.
Well, what was the Star Wars? Was it not
Rogue One?
Rogue One. Yeah, he's good in it, but he's not going Ben Mendelsohn wily like he should. Like how they let Donald in the second in the Last Jedi or whatever make him wily.
Yeah,
that's where you want to go with Mendelsohn. If you have Mendelsohn, he needs to be an alcoholic uncle.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's what he is.
Look, that's the one thing that I think Lost River did well is that they just let Ben Mendelsohn go, dude.
Yeah, and that's one of his greatest performances of all time.
Yeah, and I don't even like that movie, and I will agree with that. He's amazing in that
He's one of the best actors ever. Dude, that show, Bloodline on Netflix, that only lasted 3 seasons, he is fucking phenomenal in that show.
I haven't seen it, but I've
heard that. It's not that good of a show, but Ben Mendelsohn just is, and there's this other guy on there too, this other like fat guy, and they're both the greatest alcoholics of all time. And I'm like, yo, how is Ben Mendelsohn not more famous? Then he got super famous.
All right, so let's talk more about what this movie's actually about. So this movie is a prequel, I would say. Maybe besides like the first Captain America movie, this is like the earliest we've gone in the MCU. It takes place in the 90s. Sure. Which I think Disney had a little bit too much fun with that, but it was also still pretty entertaining. Like there's a scene where she crashes into a Blockbuster, and like everybody's wearing the silly clothing.
One thing I'm having troubles with is I saw her wearing a 9 Inch Nails shirt. Didn't hear any 9 Inch Nails in that soundtrack.
Come on, Disney, you clearly paid for the logo.
Get Trent on the line.
Yeah, get Trent to do a fucking piano orchestral thing like he did on Social Network.
I'm surprised Trent he did like a super. Did you do Man of Steel, or he did one of those ones? I think
maybe
it was Justice League.
The thing about Trent is that he got in, he played the piano, he got his Oscar, he got the fuck out, which is the right choice to be honest.
Film scoring mostly.
Yeah,
I don't think doesn't matter. Keep going.
Anyway, so this movie is about this woman who is an alien of sorts.
Yeah.
And she has extraordinary power. Now, this is one thing I don't like, is that she's just like, she happens to be the most powerful person on this alien planet, which does make the movie a little bit, much like Alita. It's like, okay, she's too powerful. Like, who's really gonna beat her at this point? You know, because like even when they think they've bested her, you remember that she can shoot fire from her fist, and then she just does that and wins.
Well, that's what makes this one like a little low stakes, but I don't think that matters too much.
No, because
it's not about that. It's more about
this is a character piece.
It is, and this is a movie that has identity, unlike Black Panther's third act, which is a movie about identity, and this is a movie that actually has that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like there's like you can sniff a little bit of Kevin Feige
for sure.
You know, slapping his dick onto the script, but
it's not as blatant though. It's not like Feige took over the third act here.
Yeah, exactly. Feige took over like a 4-minute scene.
Yeah.
We gave him a 4-minute scene at the end. Perfect. That's fine. So she crash lands on Earth because she's chasing the Skrulls, who are trying to basically take over planets. Yeah, supposedly. Quote unquote. I don't want to give too many spoilers because this is a good movie. I think people should go see in the theaters. But there, when she's trying to track down the Skrulls and eliminate them, she is introduced to Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury pre-eye patch.
Looking tight.
Pre-eye patch. They do explain in this movie how he got the eye patch, and it's the tightest origin story of all time.
Might as well have dice hanging off his eyes there.
But then
Star Wars dice,
but also Agent Coulson Greg Coulson. So let's talk about this for a sec. First of all, these two gentlemen are fucking amazing.
Yeah,
in
they're
this movie.
great.
Pretty much everyone's good in this movie, even Brie Larson. But I think Brie Larson,
she's the weakest for sure.
I think she has trouble delivering some of the dialogue, and just because it's written corny. Like,
Maybe.
Yeah, like some of the dialogue,
because she's supposed to be like the thing about where you get like Spider-Man and he's like supposed to be like a sharp talker, got those quips and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I think it works for what's his name, Tom
Holland.
Tom Holland. I think it works for him because he's kind of like a corny dude.
He's a smarmy asshole.
He's like a smarmy, but he's kind of corny. Like that's part of his demeanor. Whereas Brie Larson, she's a
cool lady.
She's a real actor, and I don't really see her as like the
corny type.
Well, more of like the jokester type.
Yeah, and like she says a lot of jokes, but there is like. I'll use an example that's in the trailer just because, like I said, I don't want to give too many spoilers. There is that line in the trailer where he's like, "You're a race of warriors," and she's like, "Heroes, warrior heroes." It's a lot of that. Like it's like a lot of her lines are like that. Yeah. But let's talk for a second about Samuel L. Jackson and Clark Gregg, because
thank fuck they finally let Samuel L. Jackson. This is another moment where they finally let Samuel Jackson spread his wings and just go to fucking town with the material, because he's never in these movies for more than 2 minutes.
Yeah, this one is like, it's a Nick Fury movie.
Mostly him.
Yeah, like I mean, obviously Captain Marvel has the most screen time.
Absolutely.
She's the focus, but Nick Fury is out here going 10,000.
Yeah.
But there is something very specific I want to talk about, and that is the de-aging stuff in this movie. So they de-aged Samuel L. Jackson and Clark Gregg to look 20 years younger. And let me tell you something, okay?
What's that?
We're going to talk about it in a bit more detail later, but after watching the Robin Williams doc, I got in a mood. So I watched 1 Hour Photo, which came out in the year 2000. I think it was 2002.
Four, maybe?
I think it was a bit earlier than that.
Okay. Yeah, it's
the
early 2000s.
Mark Romanek's 1 Hour Photo.
Great movie.
Yeah, a fucking phenomenal film. But guess who's in that movie?
Who's in that movie?
Clark Gregg.
Hell yeah, Clark Gregg.
20 years ago. And let me tell you, after watching 1 Hour Photo and watching Clark Gregg's de-aging in Captain Marvel, they got it just right.
Well, they probably took it from 1 Hour Photo.
Yeah, fucking director of Captain Marvel's out here just watching 1 Hour Photo, and they're like, we got to just do that. And it looks exactly the same.
I think you can take film of him as younger, so that would have been, and you overlay it onto him.
Yeah, that must be the technology. Because it looks exactly right. And Samuel L. Jackson looking young, dude, you barely notice he has de-aging on him.
Yeah, it's good. I could tell more on Samuel L. Jackson just because of the way he was lit.
Yeah, well, and it's possible because we see him a lot more.
Yeah, and just like sometimes they're too close on him, and like you can see it around his lips, like it's Superman's mustache. Like you can see like the top lip, like it looked like he almost had a mustache that they were covering up or something.
They're like, Sam, we already have to do de-aging. Can we lose the mustache? And he's like, no, we cannot.
It's like you let Pretty Boy over on
Man of Steel
on the Mission Impossible movie have a mustache.
Yeah, I almost think Nick Fury should have a mustache. I kind of fuck with that.
Yeah, I think he does in the comics.
Yeah, he has like that little goat beard. But I feel like he has that in some of the movies too.
Yeah, he does. I'm pretty
sure. Just let
sure.
him have the fucking mustache.
Just let him have a stash player.
Yeah. It would make the de-aging look better.
So easier.
Yeah.
So much easier. Then you don't have to do the mustache at all.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just layer it up on the cheeks, tighten up them cheeks.
Yeah. But yeah, he looks great. There's just so much of this movie because this movie is a full fleshed out 3-act narrative.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I feel like a lot of other Marvel movies, like, as much as I don't like to point fingers at a movie I really like, Black Panther is a 2-act movie followed by a 30-minute Avengers trailer. You know, and this isn't that. Like, this movie has a beginning, middle, and end. And once the movie ends, then they sneak that Avengers shit in real quick. And it's seconds. It's simply seconds.
They're really keeping tight-lipped on this new one, and I like that. I don't want to see anything.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we talk about trailer trash in a little bit because, man, Disney's got some secrets to hide with this 3-hour movie.
All right, then. Keep your secrets.
Yeah, all right, then, Disney. You keep your secrets. Yeah. And so this movie, I feel like there's so much personality that I haven't seen in an MCU movie, maybe since Thor Ragnarok. I was online and I read this amazing thing, and it was the Saturday after Captain Marvel. It was the Saturday after Captain Marvel came out, and it was like Captain Marvel has biggest MCU solo film opening day since Black Panther, and I'm like, so better than Ant-Man and Wasp, or like what? Who's surprised about that? Why are we even writing about this?
Yeah, I don't know why you're even talking about it, to be honest.
But anyway, everything in this movie, it's very colorful. And
that I do like a lot of what's going on, but I don't think the locales are very interesting a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's a lot of like facilities.
Like I feel like they spent a lot on the Kree planet stuff at the beginning, and then after that they're like, let's just do the old Thor trick and go into the desert for a bit.
Yeah, the fucking desert.
Let's do the old Thor trick and head on into the desert. I would have liked to see some like cooler locales, but it's the 90s, so whatever.
But this movie, the reason I like this movie so much is that I think that the action sequences are incredibly varied. You know, like sometimes we have like there's a car chase at the beginning where Captain Marvel is chasing the Skrulls through the train, and then Nick Fury's in the car, and then she gets a motorcycle. But then you get like dog fighting,
right?
Like dog, or what is that the right term? Dog fighting, like in planes.
Yeah,
that is the right term. Like dog fighting plane sequences.
But it's also another thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Michael Vick. It's also another thing.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, dogfighting rings. But yeah, like then there's like dogfighting scenes in airplanes, which is so much fun, by the way.
I do like a lot of the plane stuff.
Yeah.
And this, I like that this is Top Gun 2, so that's
good.
It
is Top Gun 2, so much so.
Fucking Goose.
Goose is back, baby.
Goose
but this time Goose is a cat, and let me tell you, that cat's the hero of the movie. And I'm sure at this point, you're almost sick of hearing people talk about the cat, but it truly is the best part of the movie.
Goose is the hero.
Yeah. The cat just
I gave this movie a full extra star because of Goose. And I truly believe that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, yeah. So this movie, like, because this movie has its own sort of thing to say, it does make it an individual movie, which is, I think, what is missing from the Avengers movies.
And I think the way that they set it up, like, there's no real love interest unless you count her friend from
Jude Law.
No, Jude Law's not the love interest. He's not trying to fuck him.
Oh, yeah, like the lady?
I'm saying, like, the lady's, like, the love interest.
Yeah, which is, and you know what? Like, that friendship that they have, that's great.
But that's better than having her, like, trying to fuck Jude Law, even though Jude Law out here looking like a cat daddy.
Jude Law, dude, that dude must be in his 60s now.
How did he get that shredded?
Yeah, I have no idea, but he looks amazing, and he's good in this movie.
He's good, yeah.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's got that mustache.
Yeah,
looking like a cat daddy.
I think nobody is surprised that Jude Law is good in this movie, you know? But there's just so much to like about this movie because of its individualistic characteristics. I just think that to sneeze at this one and then to tote Infinity War as this amazing movie is poisonous, you know? Because Infinity War, for the people in the back, not movie. This is a movie. This is what a movie should look like. This is how a movie should be structured. This is fun entertainment.
Well, I was talking to someone that listens to our podcast, and they were saying that we focus too much on the fact that all the Avengers die, and it's really Thanos' story.
Yeah,
and I kind of actually am coming around on that, but I don't think it's a good movie.
Thanos is the main character of Infinity War.
Yeah, I know,
but I don't care.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I mean, I understand that we focus a lot on the things that are bad about Infinity War.
And not to say that everything's bad about Infinity War. I still gave it a 2 star. It's not like a half.
I gave it 1.
I still gave it.
But
I
was really
2 star.
mad when I saw it, though.
Yeah, and as was I. Just because, like, I don't know, I have a higher standard for these movies, and not because I think that they're higher art or anything, but because Disney shells out so much fucking money. You know, like if you're putting that much money into a production, maybe write script. One script.
I get it, though. Movies are hard to make, so.
Yeah, yeah, very true. Especially if you're the Russo brothers and don't have talent.
Yeah, if you're the Russo brothers and it seems like you've gotten kicked in the head by a pony.
3 horses. Oh, man. So Captain Marvel as a whole is a really, really fun watch. Wickedly entertaining. A little bit corny at times, but for what it is, I really liked
But
it.
it's a movie that doesn't take itself 100% seriously, even though it's extremely important to the mythos of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah. Dude on my review said that he fell asleep in the theater.
How does
What?
that happen?
What? This movie has just so much entertainment in it. Do you hate entertainment? And then someone else said they walked out, and I'm like, you walk? Okay, you're a sexist then. You're a sexist if you walked out. Perfect. Yeah, it's just so weird that of all the MCU movies that people are.
Why do you think this is getting the backlash? Because it has a political pull to it. Because it stars a woman.
Yeah, because it has that strong female. But we talked about this. You had said something when we were reviewing Ocean's 8, and you're like, I get that we're trying to bring, these powerful female protagonists into film and make them more prominent to make a point.
Yeah.
But to do that, you also have to make the movie good. And I believe that you had lumped Ghostbusters in there as well. Well, here you go, motherfuckers. Here it is. This is a strong female lead character in a good fucking movie. This and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And again, for the record, this might be controversial. I think this is a better movie than Wonder Woman. I like this more than Wonder Woman. Not to say it ain't close,
Yeah.
but I do like this a little more than Wonder Woman.
Let's not gloss over that third act of Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah,
Not great.
not the best.
Still okay, but not great.
Yeah, not awesome. Where David Thewlis is the bad guy. Hey,
Thewlis?
you weak nerd.
Where
I could tip you over.
you weak nerd, you turn into Big Demon?
But I could tip you over.
you a little weak nerd in a suit of armor? I don't think so. Don't think so.
Oh yeah.
I'll fight you, player.
Yeah, but the villain in this movie, and like a lot of the the plot line regarding the Skrulls is so detailed in this movie.
It does go to places that maybe you're not expecting.
Yeah.
I wasn't, because I don't really know anything about the Skrulls.
Yeah, me neither. And you know what? Even if I did know something about the Skrulls, I still don't think I would expect them to do what they did.
Sure.
You know, Ben Mendelsohn's a fucking hero. This movie's a 4 on
God,
the
he was
Chadsky
just
scale.
chewing it up, dude.
4 on the Chadsky scale. I like this
How
movie a
lucky
lot.
are we to live in a world where Ben Mendelsohn is back?
Yeah, and he's chewing up the scenery.
Chewing it up, dude. Chewing it up.
Just gobbling down that soda can.
Dude, it's like he was sucking on that soda can like it was the last soda can he's ever going to drink out of.
Oh yeah.
God, he was just chewing it.
Yeah. I just simply do not understand why of all the MCU movies to fucking be.
I also don't think it's perfect, but like,
yeah. And like, I don't know. I was talking earlier about how like I was thinking about Phase 3, and there's actually a lot more movies in Phase 3 that I like than I had had in my brain. I think it's just Infinity War just sort of poisoned the whole thing. But like, I like most of the other movies in Phase 3, but I just don't care that much about like I don't care about Spider-Man. I care about Captain Marvel and Disney.
but is that because it's a new character, and a lot of them have been sequels?
No, I don't think so, because I didn't really care about Black Panther either. Like, it's a good movie, but I don't care because it's an Avengers trailer. I like this movie because Captain Marvel is not only a new character, but she's an interesting character, and she has her own thing. This isn't an Avengers trailer. This is a movie, and that's what I really appreciate about this movie. So this is a 4 on the Chadsky scale. Really good.
Or give that one a 4. Let us know what you think over on the Instagram or Twitter.
Doc Martens, Doc March,
Wow.
baby.
Welcome. Thank you, everybody. Please take a seat.
Yeah,
Welcome
please.
to our TED Talk.
Yeah,
we're now into the docs.
We're gonna be sitting here by the fireplace talking about documentaries.
Absolutely. This is a real film cinephile podcast. This is a real cinephiles podcast.
I can hear the people who came to listen to us talk about Captain Marvel switching off the podcast
Dude, just
as we speak.
logging off, hey?
Yeah.
Just slapping that pause button and then slapping that delete episode button.
So let's talk about Shirkers first.
Okay, yeah.
So Shirkers, I had watched the first 2 minutes of this movie, and it's very bizarrely edited, and I was like, hoo, I'm going to need to wait for a time when I can watch this all at once. And then I had said to you, like, it's really wild. It's really wild, the first 2 minutes. Then I went back, I watched the full thing in a sitting, and let me tell you something about Shirkers. It's fucking amazing.
A movie that you're like, this movie's going to be bad, is what you said to me.
Maybe.
And I'm like, but it's on like everyone's top 5 documentaries of the year. How could it be bad? And you're like, the people have been wrong before.
Yeah, I did say that. You're right.
And then I started watching it. I'm like, oh no, bro, you're wrong about this one.
And I will admit, yeah, I was super wrong about this one. Shirkers is amazing. So Shirkers is such an interesting story, and it's about this girl who always wanted to be a filmmaker in where were they? Singapore, right. She wanted to be a filmmaker in Singapore. She had read about American cinema in like magazines and stuff like that. And then she takes a film class. Sandy Tan, yeah. She takes a film class, and it's the first time Singapore has ever offered a film class.
Right.
And this guy, George Cardona, is the teacher of this class, and he sort of takes a spark to her. George Cardona might be one of the most interesting characters in a movie this year.
Sure.
Yeah, like this dude, he's another Tommy.
Yeah, he's to the fact that he goes to New Orleans. I'm like, wait, is this Tommy?
Yeah, and he's talking like Tommy. Like he has like the same sort of
Because
voice.
he's definitely from Europe.
Yeah.
and he definitely moved to
New Orleans.
I'm like, is this about Tommy?
Because here's the thing, like for the first 20 minutes, I was wondering if maybe it was pre-crash Tommy. Because like I'm like, oh, this guy, and then like
Before he had the head damage.
Yeah, before he had the head damage. Now later in the film, it's basically proven that it is in fact not.
Yeah.
Tommy, but like he's just so much like Tommy. He's got like that same weird accent, and like is that just what happens when you're in Europe and then you go to New Orleans? Like, do we believe Tommy now?
Because New Orleans kind of has that southern accent,
Troll,
but also they're French.
Savannah,
But also they're French.
yeah,
So like, you get that weird kind of muddled Tommy Wiseau.
yeah, yeah. So you know what? I get Tommy now.
Yeah,
I get him now. You know what? He is from the Bayou.
he is from the Bayou.
This
that's for
fucking
sure.
guy with this fucking accent is from the Bayou. Yeah. So George Cardona essentially takes in this girl as like he becomes her mentor, and he's like, "Oh, I've got all these Hollywood connections."
Yeah,
Which he kind of does.
kind of.
You know, really like in really weird ways, but he only has these connections through people who he mentored, and then they got better than him.
Right.
And so he sort of lives out like this jealousy of like the people in the film industry that he mentored that were more successful than him because nobody hired him.
That's like one of the funniest scenes too, is because he's always telling people that he's the inspiration of James Spader's character in Sex, Lies, and Videotapes.
Yeah.
And then he tells that to someone, and they're like, "Oh, really? Because we worked on that movie."
Yeah. Who is that? Steven Soderbergh made that movie?
Sex, Lies, and Videotapes? I don't think it was Soderbergh.
Was that not Soderbergh? Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, this movie is also really cool, especially if you love film. Because like Sandy Tan is constantly talking about her inspirations, which are also my inspirations.
Right.
She's talking about Soderbergh. She's talking about Werner Herzog. She's talking about all these people that like David
was
Lynch.
Soderbergh.
Yeah. Oh, it was Soderbergh? Oh, I was right. Like Soderbergh, David Lynch.
David Lynch is a big one.
Yeah, like all the people I love, you know. And I'm like, hey, Sandy Tan, same.
It's extremely relatable, especially for the cinephile type.
And so this guy, George Cardona, now here's the weird thing about this movie, and there's a line in this movie that really struck me, because this is yet again another Netflix original documentary about a master manipulator.
Yeah.
And there's a line in this movie where someone says, George was so good at manipulating people into getting what he wanted, and what he wanted was never sex.
Yeah.
And like, because like so many people would use that ability to manipulate people to get that,
Absolutely.
as we've seen in Abducted in Plain Sight.
We've watched
You know?
fucking 5 documentaries about that in the last month.
Yeah, and like
And this is about a manipulator, but it was
a very different type of
very
manipulator.
different, because he was like almost not even looking for power. He was just like looking to like fuck people's lives up.
Yeah, like completely fuck people's lives up for what seems like no reason, other than like he was jealous of his own of the people he was mentoring, like, which is so crazy. You know, he's fucking Anakin Skywalker. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, this movie is really, really crazy in the fact that they make this movie. They make it in
they become
full.
friends with them.
Yeah, they become friends with him. She goes on a road trip alone with him, despite the fact that he's married. They don't fuck.
No fucking.
which is weird. Like, because that's where I thought the movie was headed at that point.
Yeah, of course.
Because that's what Netflix wants me to think.
That's where your brain has been trained to go.
Yeah, and then there's even that line where he's like, one day jokingly he told me to touch his belly, and I just laughed, and then that was that. And it's like, oh, so he's not gonna fuck her. That's weird. And so this married guy has like all of these, like all these women that he's sort of leading on.
And he's just like using them to make movies.
And he's
shit,
using them
like,
to make
starts businesses.
Sounds like something that I would do, to be honest.
Yeah, because you're a true scumbag.
Absolutely, I am. And so he uses these people to make these movies, and he gets her to write a script. And she writes a script, she sends it to him, and he's like, we got to make this fucking movie. And all the other people involved in the movie, like her friends and stuff like that, are like, we cannot make this movie right now. Like, it's not feasible to make this summer. We should wait until next summer, where we have a more open schedule. They said, fuck it. They made the movie anyways. They pulled it off. Mm-hmm. And that's what's so...
Spent their own money on it.
Yeah, they spent their own money. They spent, like
$10,000.
Yeah, like a lot of money. The crazy thing about this movie is that they wrote, shot, everything. The movie's made.
Yeah.
And then George Cardona took all the film and just disappeared with it.
And this is where the documentary turns into something that really struck me, was the fact that they were talking about it and how, like, when you have those ideas and you make that art and then it disappears.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you can't get rid of it because it's just that ideas that's going to chase you forever.
Exactly, yeah.
And that struck me maybe more than any of the George Cardona stuff.
Well, and what I think, and like, while I found that very, very impacting, what struck me the most is that George Cardona, who disappeared with all this film, just started fucking with them. Like, there's a scene where, like, 10 years later, he just sent them a bunch of videotapes that were labeled Shirkers that were all blank. Uh-huh. What the fuck? Like, what an insane thing to do, you know? And I just find the character of George Cardona so fascinating. Like, he's just such an interesting person because I simply don't understand him.
And that's why I don't think he's interesting. I think he's just a scumbag.
yeah, very true.
I don't really care to know anything about him because he's just someone who is out here ruining people's art for no reason.
Yeah, and there was a couple other times
because I think Shirkers would have been a real fucking good movie, probably.
Yeah, like
it
just
looks
looking
good.
at it. That's what I actually have that written down here. Like, this movie looks fucking amazing.
It does have like that Jim Jarmusch like Mystery Train vibe to it, and I would have loved to fucking see that movie.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I do want to discuss too, real quick. Editing in this movie is perfection.
It's crazy. It's like, because she talks about making like zines and like kind of like punk rock DIY like type of art that she makes.
Yeah.
And this feels like an old school like 90s DIY zine, but a film.
Yeah. It's like a punk rock show poster transitioned into film.
Into a film, yeah.
Yeah. And this movie looks amazing, and the way that they're able to edit it so that at every single second the information on screen is relevant to what's being said is amazing. And I've never seen that, just because of the way this movie is edited. I think the pace in this movie is fucking phenomenal.
Sure.
Man, there was not a second of this movie, because like I remember like once they were like finishing shooting Shirkers, I paused it and I was like, this thing's half over. What is the other half even about? And just so you know, the other half, it's not about Shirkers at all. It's just about them trying to track down this cocksucker so that they can be like, where's my film? And that is such an interesting thing to me. And even like his ex-wife is trying to figure it out too. Like it's very much an interesting puzzle as to why this guy would do this. And like he said that, oh, like I have connections to one of the DPs on Apocalypse Now. No, you don't. What are you talking about? And then like the guy that he had put on as like their, I think it was like their production manager, is interviewed later, and he's like, yeah, I never signed on to this movie. You know, I was busy. You know, I was working in the film industry. And he sort of becomes part of the investigation team as well. Man, this movie, it will take you for a whirlwind. It's one of
Sure.
and I take everything back. This is one of the best docs we've watched this year.
Absolutely.
This movie is fucking amazing. Now, was this released late 2018?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
yeah, it was like I want to say like November maybe.
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. But either way, this movie is phenomenal. If you get the chance, you have to see it.
Yeah, and to me like it's a really good like showcase of how art persists.
Yeah. I agree.
And like I find that fascinating. Cuz like when the one lady's talking about how the movie's gone,
Yeah.
but it's not gone cuz she can never stop thinking about it.
Yeah, that was a really, really powerful moment. And there's even like, because she interviews a lot of her friends in this movie, because like what you slowly learn throughout this movie is that George Cardona was also like projecting his personality onto this main character, and she is like, she's kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
And like that's something that you learn so slowly, and you see at such a phenomenal. That's why I'm saying the pace is phenomenal, because they reveal that so slowly. It's like
Yeah.
an orange peel. This movie is amazing. Of all the docs that we've watched, it's definitely one of my favorites. I'm gonna plant this one at the legendary 5 stars.
Wow. Okay. 5 stars. It's the hand-holding. It's in the hand-holding club.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely check it out. It's on Netflix, guys, which means it's
Netflix
free.
original.
Yeah, it's a Netflix original, which means that it's free.
Wow.
Yeah. Where do you plant this on the Chatsky?
5.
5, baby. Hell yeah. Oh yeah, it's the 5-iest 5.
Sandy Tan, dude. I hope she makes something else.
Yeah, me too. Like I think after this, like she sort of owed it, you know? Like I think she deserves to make her own movie, and maybe this is the movie that she thinks she's deserved, is the doc.
Maybe.
But I would sure love to see something from her, because her mind is so interesting. The movie that she's making, Shirkers, looked incredible.
Make Shirkers.
Yeah.
Get a new cast.
Get a new cast, make it in Hollywood. Netflix will pay for it. Who gives a
Make
shit?
it in Singapore.
Yeah, well,
Netflix will still pay for it.
yeah. Isn't Netflix paying for? Oh no, maybe it's Amazon that's paying for that Park Chan-wook movie.
Yeah, but they've kind of have like a working relationship with them now, because they released Handmaiden.
Yeah. That's right. That is on Amazon Prime. Hey, you guys, the
It's good to
best
see
movie
them
of all time.
Come back to the States though for
Yeah,
some shit.
the best
with
movie of
Matthew
all time,
McConaughey.
The Handmaiden, is on or on Amazon Prime Video. Get it immediately and watch that movie,
for
because
free.
it's the best movie.
That
of all
is
time.
actually free.
Yeah. Well, it's not, but it's cheaper than Netflix. Universal Monsters,
Okay.
Frankenstein.
Hell yeah.
This movie's fucking amazing.
It's one of the greatest movies of all time.
Holy shit, it's good. Like
It's
this.
so good.
Look, King Kong from 1933 has been my reigning favorite, and I've seen Frankenstein before, but it was a very long time
Yeah.
ago. But King Kong has been my reigning favorite monster film for a very long time. Gojira, like
Yeah, for
shortly
sure,
after.
for sure.
No more. This movie is way better.
I love this movie so much, and I've seen it a million times. I fucking, especially I've seen it twice on the Blu-ray, but like the crystal clear of these Blu-ray releases is so fucking phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
it looks like a different movie than I watched when I was younger.
I'll have to pop over and watch some of these Blu-rays.
Yeah, dude,
I might just snake the whole box. I'm not sure.
it's gonna fucking beat the shit out of me and take my collection.
Frankenstein is just such a masterpiece. And I think it's because the movie, it's not about a monster.
No.
You know, it's not about a monster.
Absolutely not.
It's about a person's like perverted sense of immortality.
And it works. Yeah, that's a big part of it, and it works so well because James Whale is one of the greatest directors, and
Incredible.
and he's like, because he was a gay man out
Yeah.
in the 30s.
Yeah.
Like there's like so much subtext to these movies that you don't get from a Todd Browning.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is way better than Dracula.
It's not even in the same league as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Now this one that I watched has no music.
That's the correct one.
Yeah.
It has like, did it have like the Frankenstein theme at least?
I don't think so. I don't.
Okay.
I the only time I recall hearing music in this movie was at the wedding, and there was a band playing in the background.
Okay.
And because it was part of the scenery, when they cut to a new scene, it just stops.
I think that's the right. That's what I've had pretty much too. Although mine had like the Frankenstein theme at one point.
You know what I did not remember about this movie though? Because last time I saw this movie, I must have been like 14, 15.
Yeah.
I didn't remember Igor being called something different. He's called Fritz.
Yeah.
And so is Igor in one of the sequels, and then just became more famous, or is Igor like a nickname that was put onto this character later?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But that sounds right. That it was like something that was added at a different point, or maybe it's in the book.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, because like in this movie, he's called Fritz, and like every time they talk about Fritz, I'm like, it's so weird to me because Hollywood has brainwashed me to think this character's name is Igor.
Absolutely, and there's so much to this movie that you don't remember because you're so ingrained with the Frankenstein story.
Yeah. And so much so that there's a animated character piece about this character called Igor.
Yeah.
You know, like, which is a bad movie, by the way.
I don't think I saw it.
It's it's fucking bad. But this movie is just, it was next level.
Yeah.
Like it was
It's like
decades ahead of its time.
so far ahead of its time, and it's not even as good as Bride of Frankenstein. That's
Yeah.
what's
Which
so insane to me.
I don't think I've ever seen Bride of Frankenstein
Well,
as far as
buckle
I can
up.
remember.
It's coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Oh my god, I just looked at my notes and I wrote down, does Frankenstein have a dick?
Yeah, it probably does. The only note I wrote down is "It's Alive" because "It's Alive" is one of the greatest cinematic scenes.
Amazing.
It's like the thing about this movie is like it takes a while to actually get to Frankenstein's monster
Yeah.
because they're collecting like all the pieces and stuff. And this is like genuinely a creepy. I wouldn't say it's scary, but it's creepy. There's a lot to it that's creepy.
You know what's weird about this movie that I didn't like? Now I watched it from a critical eye, and I never noticed this when I watched it way back when. You know, Frankenstein's monster is the protagonist of this movie.
Absolutely.
Which is such a weird thing because, and almost kind of charming. And this movie is
Well, did you have the scene where he throws the little girl into the water?
yeah, that scene's pivotal.
Yeah, but it's not in all the versions.
It's not.
No, that's like the first thing that was cut out.
Yeah, I even wrote down here he kills a kid hardcore.
He does kill a kid, and it's hardcore.
It is super hardcore. But the problem with that scene is that he didn't mean to.
Right.
You know,
it's like the Mice and Men when he kills them.
Yeah. Lenny from Mice and Men. It's exactly like that.
Yeah.
And
That's
this
in fact probably where they got it from. To be honest, or
this character,
fucking John Steinbeck.
yeah, this character, so charming. Like the scene where he's sitting there and he's playing with the little girl, and they're looking at and she's giving him the flowers. Like,
yeah.
this movie is. I'm gonna say it here on the pod. You ready? You can call me a pussy if you want. I cried my eyes out watching this movie because it's intensely sad.
It's the most human movie that doesn't have a human. You know, it's
Yeah.
not a human.
Yeah, exactly. It's something else. It's some kind of monster, and that is also why I really like the Robert De Niro one as well.
Yeah,
but this is
I don't like that one quite as much. But
yeah, this one is, but this one's a masterpiece.
fucking, and it invented Boris Karloff basically.
Yeah, and Boris Karloff. Oh man, you know what's weird though is that I don't know if this was in your copy, but on the opening credits. They're crediting all the people,
yeah.
and under the monster, it's just question mark. It's
Yeah,
like,
like
what do
a
you-
drawn-on question mark. I noticed, I'm like, why does that look so shitty?
yeah, it's like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean question mark? It's
It
Boris
looks like-
Karloff.
It looks like when you try and write something with whiteout.
Why?
Yeah, I don't like that they didn't credit him.
They credit him in the end credits.
Right.
Yeah. But in the opening credits, hey guys, dude's got a name. Did you think that by putting Boris Karloff in
But
the
I
opening?
mean, for the time, I guess it's scarier if you think it's a real monster, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. There's merit to that, I guess. Yeah. This movie, it's so disgustingly human on both ends of the spectrum.
Absolutely, and even like comparing to Dracula, which I don't want to do too much, but like it's so well shot.
Oh,
And like I
way.
think Dracula's pretty well shot, but like Frankenstein, every shot is like you study this.
Yeah, it's very
Like,
intentional.
You study this in cinematography class.
Yeah, and this movie, like, just think, when was this? 1931.
31. Yeah.
Nobody was making movies like this.
No,
Maybe
that's-
like Nosferatu, but even that.
That was like 10 years earlier, and it's not even on the same scale compared to this. Like,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
the-
just even looking, because I think Nosferatu is 25. This is 31. The way the evolution of horror film in just those 6 years is amazing.
I think just film in general, like it's like how technology is moving now. But like when you like, I respect the Universal monsters so much because when you look at that, like the 30s was good for film. Don't get me wrong, but they basically invented a genre, and not only that, they perfected it.
Yeah. They invented a genre that might be one of the most popular film genres even today.
Sure.
You know, Us is coming out next week. You know, like horror film is very much alive. It's alive.
It's alive, and not to say there wasn't horror films before that, but the Universal Monsters is what popular, and they certainly popularized monster movies, which
Of course.
to this day are some of my favorite movies ever.
Of course. Yeah. Did
I
you get
fucking
the?
love Frankenstein.
Did you get the funny little opening?
Yes.
Yeah, with the director,
Yes.
and he's like, "All right, I'm just gonna warn you now. This is pretty fucked up."
Yeah, he's like, what you are about to see is pretty fucked up.
Yeah, I love it. This is a 5. This is a 5 years.
Oh, it's the easiest 5, and it's just a classic piece of entertainment too.
God, we're talking about a lot of 5s. You wanna slip in some Bandersnatch?
Yeah.
What a piece of shit, dude! What a horrific
Now,
pile of shit.
Earlier in the year, you're like, we have to watch this movie on the pod. I'm like, no, we don't. It's artless. And,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, well, maybe I'll get to it at some point. And you finally got into it, so we're going to talk about it now.
Yeah. So, man, Bandersnatch. Why? It is truly artless. And look, here's the thing. Let's get everything out on the table. This movie is a gimmick, and the gimmick is that it's a choose-your-own-adventure book, and it's about a choose-your-own-adventure book. How meta of you, Black Mirror. Now, I've only seen a few episodes of Black Mirror, but I recall it being better than this.
Yeah, it's good.
It's not my favorite show, but it's better than this. I want to say one good thing about this movie, and it doesn't even really have anything to do with the movie. Will Poulter's fucking amazing.
Yeah, Will Poulter is fucking good in this.
Will Poulter is so good in this movie. But the gimmick, of course, is that it's a choose-your-own-adventure, and Netflix lets you sort of chime in on what's going to happen, and then you get to... But here's the thing. You don't get as much choice as the movie would lead you to believe.
Not only that, you get almost zero choice.
Yeah,
to be honest,
because
It's
a lot of the time, like you'll make a choice, and then like 3 minutes later, it'll be like, you made the wrong choice. Go
a
back.
lot of times you have to make the wrong choice because there's so much meta levels to it.
Yeah.
That you have to make the wrong choice to go forward.
And this movie thinks it's very smart.
No, it doesn't actually. The thing about this is it was released recently that this is actually an experiment to take people's data on how they watch film. It's actually not a movie.
Yeah.
In fact, it's so much not a movie that Netflix admitted it to be an experiment.
Good, because it's definitely not a movie. And here's the thing. Neat idea, okay? Neat idea. We
Sure.
tried it once. This is as good as we're gonna get this idea.
I
and it's
absolutely,
fucking terrible.
I absolutely agree, and I'm. It did get like it's highly praised. This movie's highly praised, and I really hope that doesn't lead to anything else like this because it can't work in any other context. This works because it's parodying a literal choose-your-own-adventure book.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Okay, and here's where I need to stop, and I really need to take a breather on something, because you just said this movie. Is this true? This movie's highly praised? I haven't really looked at the reviews.
Oh yeah, it's almost universally praised.
How? Okay, gimmick aside, this movie looks like shit. The acting, aside from Will Poulter, is fucking horrendous. That main character is
If
shitty.
you go on to Letterboxd, I'm one of the only reviews that gave it
The
under
legend-
3.
Yeah, the legendary.
Yeah.
Like the main character, and this is the biggest problem with this movie, is that the main character sucks.
Yeah.
He is so uninteresting.
But
he's so
'cause
unreal.
it's supposed to be you. So.
I know it's supposed to be you, so I should like me.
Yeah.
I hate
no,
this
I
fucking
agree. But
cocksucker.
I'm saying that's why he's white bread.
Yeah, that's why he's not interesting at all.
Right.
But guess what? Okay, that's fine. But here's the thing. There's video game versions of this concept that are done well.
Sure, Telltale.
Yeah,
Everything
Telltale.
man.
Telltale, Walking Dead, Until Dawn is a fucking amazing example
I
of
never
this
played
being
that,
done.
but yeah.
That game's really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a movie, but you make the choices, but it's not this.
But the thing about a video game compared to this is there's a lot more ways that can go because it's built on AI, whereas this is just clips that are that you click on.
Yep.
Essentially.
And man, let me tell
This
you,
is like as good as like when annotations first came out on YouTube and people were making choose your own adventures on YouTube. It's as good as that.
yeah, that you're right. This is exactly that. So this move, I don't want to use that word. This thing, is just. I was trying to make it end because it was so
me too,
painful.
Dude. I like after like an hour and a half. I'm like, can we just get to the end of this?
Was
shit?
this shot on an iPhone 1? Like, it looks so bad.
No, it's just British.
it's such bad film.
It's
Like
just-
it looks
it's a
amateur.
but it's a TV show, to be fair.
Yeah, but also they released it as movie.
They released it as a special event on Netflix.
I don't understand why anybody would make this. I ended up getting 2 endings because I got one ending and then I was like, okay, let's see what else we can do here.
I got every single ending.
I didn't
played it for
get
like 2 hours.
I know that there's an ending where they make like a film of it or something. Of Bandersnatch, which
Maybe. Oh yeah,
whatever.
there is.
But I saw the ending. I just have to ask you a question, okay?
Sure.
When given the option to back off or kill dad, what did you do?
Immediately click kill dad.
Yeah, immediate, dude. It was quick, dude. I didn't think about it for a nanosecond.
Dude, and he grabs that ashtray.
Yeah, and
much
he-
like that one I have on my desk right there, and just
A lot
slaps him in the face.
Yeah, just cranks him across the dome.
There was another one too. Like, did you get to the point where you did acid with Will Poulter?
Yeah, and then you convince him to jump off.
Yeah, but I convinced him to jump off real quick.
Oh, but here's the problem with that. If you jump off, guess what happens?
Yeah, that's it.
Nope. They make you go back and make him jump off.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah.
I think.
Because I was like, oh hell yeah, Suey baby,
Suey.
suicide
Maybe
is
that
badass.
Suey is badass.
So I jumped off, and then they're like, no, and like even at the beginning of the movie, it becomes so apparent that you have no pull in this.
Did you
because
get to the one where you fight as a ninja in the psychiatrist's office?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I did not see that. I think I would have given this a legendary 0 if I had seen that. But there is like one scene in this movie where right at the beginning where you have the choice to where they ask you if you want to work on the video game in like the video game head office.
Yeah.
And you can either accept or refuse. And me being a person, I'm like, I'm gonna do this the way that I would legitimately do it. Which eventually I abandoned and killed my dad. But
Yeah.
I hit accept.
Yep.
And then Will Poulter comes up to you and breaks the fourth wall and basically goes, wrong path.
Yeah.
And then
that's
they
what
make
I did too.
Yeah, and then they make you do the whole. And then the problem is that every time you make that wrong decision, they make you rewatch the fucking scene. And I'm sitting there like hitting the skip 10 seconds ahead button over and over again. Like, please make this fucking end.
It gets better the more you do it.
Yeah.
It cuts out a lot of it.
Yeah, of course, yeah, and they make it really quick. But oh man, I had such
it's annoying. It's an annoying thing to do.
This
It's not good. That's the problem. Is like if it was good, then maybe I'd be willing to sit through it. But it's not.
yeah. If there were layers to it, if it was like, oh, there's layers to this scene that you might not notice the first time, but there ain't. It's just a fat guy who looks like the completionist asking you to make a video game.
That's the guy from the IT crowd.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I've never seen that show. I've heard it's good though.
He's like the boss.
That's O'Dowd, isn't it?
Yeah, it's O'Dowd and Richard Ayoade.
Oh God, I love O'Dowd.
Yeah, it's a really good show actually.
This is a neat idea, an interesting experiment
Absolutely.
that was
Executed completely artless.
Yeah, it was absolute dog shit to be a part of. I was clawing my fucking eyes out watching this thing. Dude, this movie's 90
Highly
minutes.
praised.
This
No,
movie's
it's like
90
2 hours if you want to do everything.
Okay, well, I ended up spending about 90 minutes with it, and I took 3 smoke breaks. That's how fucking shitty this movie is. Oh, man. Yeah, this is a legendary half-star, dude. I fucking hate this thing.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's really
One
bad.
star on the chat.
One star. Robin.
Boy,
Rest in peace, Robin Williams. Let's talk about Robin Williams coming inside my mind. Now, before we talk about this, I want to talk about a couple of things.
Yeah.
Number one, I actually decided to rewatch some Robin Williams
too.
movies after this.
Yeah.
Which ones did you watch?
I watched Aladdin.
You watched Aladdin? I was gonna watch. I was like, after I watched this movie, I'm like, this week I'm gonna watch Aladdin and Good Will Hunting.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, I watch those 2 movies like twice annually.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna see some stuff I haven't seen in a while. So I watched 1 Hour Photo, which I hadn't seen in
love
about
1 Hour Photo.
5 or 10 years. And 1 Hour Photo is fucking amazing.
It's so good.
It's an easy 5. It's incredible.
It's one of those ones that goes under the radar for some reason with Robbie.
But the weird thing with 1 Hour Photo is I think that if it wasn't Robin Williams, it might not have been as good. Because
Absolutely.
that movie is hinges on his incredible performance.
Yeah.
Young Clark Gregg in that movie also.
Hell yeah.
But that movie's amazing. But then I watched Bicentennial Man, and this is the one I really want to talk about.
Yeah, I hate Bicentennial Man, dude.
Here's the thing about Bicentennial Man. The first hour is a easy 5.
Yeah.
And then the second hour is an easy one. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's got like this AI thing. It's like a shitty version of Steven
shitty
Spielberg's.
AI, yeah.
It's shitty AI. But the problem is that halfway through the movie, in both movies, like halfway through AI, Steven Spielberg's like, okay, well, this is Cube inspired, so let's get real fucking weird and make it a wild sci-fi.
Yeah.
In Bicentennial Man, they're like, yeah, we don't. I'm Christopher Columbus. I don't have the balls. I'm shitty Christopher Columbus. I don't have the balls to pull off such a thing. So we're just gonna make it romance movie.
Yeah. Ugh. I watched this probably 2 or 3 years ago, and God, was I mad when I saw it. I'm like,
Yeah,
what
'cause,
the
like-
fuck is this movie?
Because like the setup is amazing. Like the setup where it's like him trying to become a free man, and
Yeah,
like,
sure.
and he's like giving himself like internal organs, and like there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. And then the romance plot kicks in, and holy shit, who gives a fuck? Who gives one tiny inkling of a fuck about that? And
It is wild, though. It's a wild movie.
It's really crazy. There's even a part where Oliver Platt is like, I'm gonna give you a robot dick, and I was like screaming. I was like, he's gonna give him a robot dick.
He's
and
like, I'm your dad.
and he's like,
give
you
you
won't
a
be able to
robot
have
dick.
he's like, you won't be able to have babies, but you'll still be able to come. And it's like, what the fuck? Because
He said come.
I
It's been a while since I've seen it.
I don't recall, but yeah,
I'm your dad. I'm going to give you a cum dick.
I'm your Oliver Platt dad. Here's your cum dick.
Hey, I'm Oliver Platt, your dad.
Yeah, and this movie, like, it also has no sense of time for a movie that hinges on a sense of time.
Absolutely. I do recall that being like, what? Why is time just passing?
Because the movie takes place over 200 years, and Sam Neill has a daughter who's 10, who's played by Haley Eisenberg, Jesse Eisenberg's sister.
Interesting.
Most famously known for her Pepsi commercials. You know those ones from the 90s where she go,
No.
You remember those?
No.
Okay, well, it's Jesse Eisenberg's sister anyways.
Okay.
Yeah. She's the girl from Polly. You ever see Polly?
No.
Dude didn't have a childhood.
No,
Dude didn't
bro.
see Polly.
I don't know what that
It's
is.
a movie about the girl with the parrot bird.
No,
Yeah,
dude.
anyway.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but I've not seen that.
Yeah. So, at the beginning of the movie, this girl is 10.
Uh-huh.
And then her granddaughter is alive at the end of the movie, but the movie takes place over 200 years.
Huh.
Okay. I'm doing the math and it sort of makes sense, but also not really. Cuz that means like even if this girl lived to be 90, that means that she must have been 100 when her granddaughter was born. Which she wasn't, because she was still alive when her granddaughter was in her 30s. Like, it makes no sense. And the only way to make sense of it is to say it's a sci-fi movie where maybe people live longer.
Yeah.
It's the only way to make sense of it.
Sure.
But the movie, Bradley Whitford's in it. The cast is crazy.
Yeah, the cast is pretty good. I do
Sam
recall
Neill is giving
that.
10,000%.
Dude, Sam Neill's fucking awesome.
And that's why I like that movie. So like the first half of the movie is like the stuff where Sam Neill is trying to teach Robin Williams to be a person.
Yeah.
That's great stuff.
That stuff I do remember liking quite a bit.
And Steven Root's trying to steal his
Root,
robot
dude.
brain.
It's got that root.
Yeah, dude. That's the good stuff. But then the second half of the movie is fucking dog shit,
All
dude.
right. Well, this isn't a Bicentennial Man podcast. So.
Yeah, it's absolutely not. Never watch Bicentennial Man. Aladdin also is a masterpiece.
Aladdin's so fucking good, dude.
Yeah, of course. Let's talk about Robin Williams. Come inside my mind. Come inside me?
Come inside me.
Come inside my mind.
Come on the belt. Man, 2 hours ain't enough.
I agree.
Ain't enough to get into the brilliance of this man.
Now, this
He's
movie...
the fucking GOAT, dude. He's the legend.
This movie is a little bit biased, I think.
Sure.
Because like they very seldom talk about like his anger problems or anything like that, but they do touch on like his drug problems and his alcohol addiction
Well,
and
you
stuff
gotta.
like that. Yeah, you gotta.
Especially towards the end.
Yeah,
That's
but like you
the
said,
problem.
like 2 hours. Like I remember looking at this movie and being like 2 hours. That's a little long. And then the movie ended. I'm like, not long enough.
Now, see, the Finding Neverland thing, that could have been 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
This needed to be 4.
Yeah,
Needed to be 4.
HBO, swap out those runtimes.
Because like a lot of the best stuff was him, just like the bloopers of him working on films.
yeah.
And this movie is crazy because they interview a lot of people, not all of his kids though, which I find interesting.
Yeah,
They interview all of his fucking kids.
they interview Zach, but they never interview Zelda.
Why not?
I don't know.
Because something fucked up's going on there. That's what I don't like about HBO is they make these docs, but they don't interview everybody.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So here's the thing: is that this movie is great. It's so good.
Sure.
But here's
As a celebration.
yeah, it's a celebration of a man who we all love. You know, like I have a nostalgic
And
hold
that's
on.
what's crazy is like when you watch this and there's so many famous people in it and everyone talks about it like he was their best friend because that's how he made you feel.
Yeah, and the thing, and the weird thing is that he felt like he had no best friend.
Right.
Like
Well,
his
that happens a lot with depression and
this movie showcased his relationship with Billy Crystal that I didn't even know existed, and those two dudes were the best friends of all time.
absolutely.
They were the
Which
greatest
makes sense because I would hang out with either of those dudes probably.
friends. Yeah, I definitely would hang out with Robin Williams, especially if it was in like the 80s. You know?
Absolutely, dude. The fucking Coke days with Billy Crystal. I bet that was a fucking blast. if you're hanging out with Billy Crystal in the Coke days, you get your dick sucked at some point.
Yeah,
You just do.
Yeah, it just happens. Now, the weird thing about this movie is that like I've seen Robin Williams movies, you know, my entire life.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen
Absolutely, I've seen most of them.
I've seen
Not
a
all
lot of them.
but-
I haven't. There's a few like I'm missing on like Fisher King and like Big White.
You've never
like,
seen Fisher King?
Never seen
Come
Fisher
on,
King.
player.
Yeah. But like I've seen especially like a lot of his like 90s.
What
work.
dreams may come.
Yeah, What Dreams May Come.
Hell yeah, dude.
The Jumanji, of course. Hook.
Dead
like,
Poets.
Dead Poet Society, of course. Good Will Hunting, which is of course my favorite drama film of all time. Aladdin and the King of Thieves. Fern Gully, like
I don't think I've ever seen Fern Gully.
Death to Smoochie. Like this dude.
Oh, I
made
love Death to Smoochie.
You know what? I also do love Death to Smoochie. I think I'm coming around because I saw it a lot when I was a kid. Like I mean, like an unhealthy amount of times
Yeah.
I've seen Death to Smoochie, and so like I started convincing myself it wasn't that good of a movie. But I rewatched it recently. I'm like, oh no, that
Yeah,
is
it's good.
that is good. That movie is good. Yeah, Death to Smoochie is great.
Because I remember last time I brought that up, maybe around when he died. I'm like, oh, I just watched Death to Smoochie. I fucking love that movie. And you're like, no, that movie sucks.
Yeah, no, but it is good. Edward Norton is fucking Danny DeVito. God, I love him.
Hell yeah, dude.
John Stewart. God, why would they let John Stewart act? It's crazy. Even like some of his later stuff, like Angriest Man in Brooklyn, is good.
That one's not that good. but
I like it.
I like World's Greatest Dad though.
Yeah, World's Greatest Dad, which they touch upon in this movie.
Yep.
There's
Bobcat.
yeah.
They even have that they have footage of Bobcat on Joe Rogan
yeah.
in this movie.
Yeah, I thought that was fun. I also love that Bobcat Goldthwait was
That's the episode where he tells the story about I'm hurt, Bob.
is that the
That's
same
the same episode.
I'm hurt, Bob. I'm real hurt. Gets hit with a can of Faygo.
Yeah, I've seen that episode.
But like so much so that like Robin Williams just had so many friends. Like Bobcat Goldthwait, of course,
Yeah.
he was like Bobcat Goldthwait was his best man, and it's third way.
Absolutely, they went way back 'cause they were stand-ups at the same time.
Yeah.
and Bobcat went on to the Police Academy movies, and Robin went on to Mork and Mindy and stuff.
Yeah, and Mork and Mindy, just like that was just a show I've actually never seen.
I've never seen it either.
I
I know my mom talked about it a lot.
Yeah,
but
my parents have seen it and they really liked it when it was on, and I'm
Yeah.
like, how? Like just from concept alone, how could that be good? And
I-
then,
and
but then
it's-
you remember it's Robin, right?
yeah, of course. Because he was so interesting.
Yeah, just such a
And
weird
he's so
person.
funny. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing about that.
The thing about Robin Williams is that like when I watched the movies as a kid, and even I've seen his stand up before, I'm like, okay, so yes, he is hilarious, but this is all written material. There's no way this guy is actually this funny. Yes, he fucking is. He might be the funniest person to ever live.
One of the best things was when they showed the video of I forget what it was, like the Writers Guild. Or something.
The People's Choice Awards.
People's Choice Awards.
Actually, I wrote that down. I could barely write the note. I could barely write down the People's Choice Award thing because I remembered I wanted to talk about
That's
it.
hilarious
It's
because
the funniest thing
He
I've-
didn't win. Yeah, Jack Nicholson is like, get up here.
And then he gives Jack Nicholson's speech for him while doing a Jack Nicholson impression.
and fucking Daniel Day-Lewis is just like, I don't want to be here at all.
And Jack Nicholson's having the most fun.
Oh,
Clearly.
Jack Nicholson's wasted,
Yeah,
dude. He's,
he's
all just
coked out,
Coca-Cola up,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah, and Robin Williams, and then like they go around to talk, and Robin Williams is like, "What?" Like into the mic to everybody.
And everyone's just laughing so hard. There's like no way they're kicking him off stage. He can stay up there as long as he fucking wants.
Yeah, he didn't even win, and
Because he's the fucking GOAT, dude.
The best thing ever, though, is that there were 3 nominees, and it was a 2-way tie between Jack Nicholson and Daniel Day-Lewis, and he's like, there was a tie, and it was a 3-way nomination. What does that mean? Like, it's so funny. And, like that moment was the moment when I realized this is the funniest person in the world, because like, it wasn't prepared. It couldn't have been. That all just fell out of his head. That's just what his brain was always doing. Like, how could somebody be that funny? You know, like
That's like It's very interesting because another comedian I really like, Stephen Brody Stevens, just committed suicide recently, and he was exactly the same as Robin Williams, right? Like everybody who ever saw him loved him, and he had that kinetic energy on stage, but he also felt like no one cared about him.
Yeah.
And that's so crazy that the comedy is such a masking technique to the depression. Like it's just it's so interesting.
And that's a lot of this movie is about that. Like it's a masking to the depression, the alcoholism,
Sure.
The drug abuse, like his failing marriages, like it's so weird to watch this movie because like this is a person that like, look, I'm going to say this straight up. Never in my life ever has a celebrity death affected me as much.
Absolutely. I
as
left
Robin
work,
Williams.
dude. I left work when I heard it on the radio.
I remember the day that it happened. I was sitting in my office and somebody came into my office and they're like, "Hey, dude." I'm like, "What's up?" And they're like, "Robin Williams died." And it destroyed me to the core to hear that.
Yeah.
I was physically uncomfortable. I didn't even know how he died at the time. I just knew he was dead. And like, it was such an uncomfortable day. I couldn't focus. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I went home that night and I watched Aladdin that night and I cried.
Uh-huh.
And I've never cried for a celebrity death. Like we do the celebrity death pool, right? Like it's not like celebrity death is a part of life, but with Robin Williams, it was just so much more impactful than I ever would have imagined any celebrity death being. Like Tom Cruise. If Tom Cruise died tomorrow, I'd be like, what a shame.
It's fucked up for sure.
It's fucked up, but what a shame. But
the Robin Williams was such a pivotal part of my childhood.
Yeah, like
especially like Mrs. Doubtfire too,
Mrs.
which
Doubtfire,
is a big part of my comedy is Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah,
like,
that's where you pull most of your jokes
well,
from.
Tom Green more so, but like because like if Tom Green died, that's gonna be that will be the worst day of my life when Tom Green dies. But Robin Williams, fucking goat, dude.
Yeah, Robin Williams. I have so much love and respect and admiration. And we're not even really talking about the movie anymore. We're just talking about the man. And because
that's what it is. It's a celebration of him, but it really dives in. Maybe not as much as I would like to the darkness behind the comedy, but it's a highlight reel.
I love the movie. Like I really do. I love the movie because I love the man. And so I have to plant this at a 5 because every second of this movie was just either magical or decimatingly
I'm gonna give it a
melancholy.
4 because I wish they would have dove into some of the movies a little more. Maybe talk to more people that worked with him.
The classic Popeye.
But Popeye was fucked, dude. I wish I would have talked about that more.
Yeah, where he smuggled coke through strippers' pussies.
Yeah, and buttholes and whatnot.
Yeah, that's pretty wacky. Yeah,
pretty crazy.
Yeah, and you know what they didn't talk about at all is that the Robin Williams Disney feud, where he had in his contract he was like, okay, I'll be in this animated movie, but because I'm not the main character, I can't be used in like more than 40% of the promotional material. And they're like, yeah, fuck you, right? Yeah, and so that's actually why he's not in the second movie. There must have been some like fix up at Disney where they fixed it because he is in the third.
Well, Disney seems to be fixing a lot of shit recently, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they're like rehire Robin Williams. He deleted the tweet about the boy peeing on him. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I love this movie. I think it's great. Let's just talk about trailer trash super quickly. We got another Avengers Endgame trailer, and I gotta say, like, I am really respecting Disney's marketing for this movie because once again, the trailer doesn't show anything.
Good.
Which is great. Like,
I literally don't want to know anything.
I don't want to know anything going into this movie, but it's part of my job. I have to watch all these trailers. We did, however, get an Aladdin trailer, which I do not respect Disney's marketing on this, because just show me the whole fucking movie. Great. Perfect. I've seen it now, but
you know the movie though.
What?
You know the movie though.
Yeah, it's true. I've seen the movie already, but I'm 100% in.
Absolutely.
Because like, here's the thing. My biggest concern was going to be those musical numbers, and like, because these people that they hired are more or less not very well known actors, right?
I think they're just like Disney Channel people.
Yeah, exactly. But when I heard that guy playing Aladdin singing and the girl playing Jasmine singing, I'm like, oh, okay, they fucking go, dude.
Okay.
They go. And Will Smith singing "Friend Like Me," he's bad at singing.
Not great.
Never had a friend like me. It's like, oh boy, that's gonna be bad. But I'm gonna have a fun time watching it anyways.
Absolutely.
But they showed a clip from the "Friend Like Me" and where he's puppeteering, and it looks fucking amazing. Like it does look like it's going to be a really
It's going to
fun
be
movie.
visually fun for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna have a great time. It's Guy Ritchie and with Disney money. Like
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
No way he can fuck that out. John,
Maybe.
Look, Jon Favreau's not even that good of a director, but with Disney money, makes good stuff.
Yeah. To be fair, yeah.
That's actually a lie. Chef's the best movie he's ever made.
Yeah, by a lot.
Yeah, it's
actually.
fucking molten.
It's fucking molten.
Hey, Podcast Bot 8000. Hello there, Buck. It is me, Podcast Bot 8000.
Oh, did you get a voice upgrade?
No, I bet you're wondering about my shitty Scottish accent.
I am.
I went over to Glasgow for a week.
What? When was that? Did you put it on the company credit card?
Yes.
What the fuck? I can't trust these bots.
Popped on over to Glasgow. I went to the train museum. You want to know?
Chadley, you can't trust these bots.
Yeah, I'm really pissed off actually because that company credit card affects my credit also because you put me as a co-signer.
I did.
Buck, do you know why I was in Glasgow though?
I don't.
I went to the train museum. You know what happens at the train museum?
No.
A lot of coke deals.
Okay.
I had to make some deals.
Yeah, you were dealing?
Yeah, not only did I pay for my flight there and back, but I bought myself a nice pair of shoes.
Okay, what kind of shoes?
They're pumps. You know those pumps? They just
Yeah,
gotta pump 'em
Reebok
up.
pumps?
Yeah, Reebok pumps. So I'd like to thank you. On the next episode of the Movie Epidemic podcast, the boys will continue Doc Martin's Dark March with Studio 54. That's a movie about Studio 54.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
They'll Love Me When I'm Dead. A movie about Orson Welles' forgotten movie, which
Ooh, the goat?
Netflix disrespectfully just released.
Just straight up release that shit without his blessing, hey? Yeah, pretty fucked up, it sounds like.
Incredibly disrespectful, and that movie is called The Other Side of the Wind. My accent's very shitty, right? I picked it up. Very bad. They will also be talking about Jordan Peele's new horror film, Us.
Ooh, I want to see that more than the birth of my first child, to be honest.
And they will be continuing their Universal Monster movie retrospective with The Mummy.
Ooh, I love
Yeah,
the
okay,
Mummy.
get the fuck out of here.
Or Carlo.
I bet you he doesn't have that accent next week.
Nah, probably
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
That's look. There's not a lot of continuity with the robots. They do whatever they want.
Yeah, he hangs out with too many scumbags who talk with Canadian accents for him to keep that for more than a few seconds. So make sure you tune in next week. You can find us on Twitter at Movie Epidemic. A lot of stuff going on over on that Twitter. We're having a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, tweet at us, at me. But at me stuff about the show. Don't at me stuff about your podcast. Don't be like, wow, cool podcast. Listen to mine.
I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, I'm not interested because you're so undescript that I don't believe you listened. To mine.
I just don't believe you. You
Yeah.
have to convince me.
Yeah,
So, and that's gonna cost you at least 10 minutes listening.
Yeah,
It's
like-
just how it's gonna work.
yeah. If you tweeted me and you're like,
Look, I'm being very transparent about this. I want your downloads, and I don't care how. I don't care if you listen to 10 minutes of it. It still counts. And
look, guys, I'm also being very transparent. I want your money.
I want your money. And here's the other thing: I'm not gonna listen to your podcast.
Yeah.
Already got the podcast I listen to. Not room for more. There
Yeah.
isn't room for
I already
more.
listen to 15 podcasts on a weekly basis.
There
you guys,
simply
and-
isn't room for more, and I know yours isn't good.
yeah, and I'm trying to actually downgrade how many podcasts I watch. I'm not going to add more.
Yeah, and if you feel that way about this podcast, if you think it's not good, don't listen. I don't need you.
Download. but don't
Download
listen.
it, but don't listen. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, still keep it on subscribe. Keep your parents on subscribe too. They don't fucking know.
Absolutely. Grab your mom's phone, subscribe to us on there.
Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram as well at Movie Epidemic, as well as Facebook at PunchNerds-Movie Epidemic. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week.